I got more whistleblowers. How many of you have heard of Uttar Pradesh in India? They gave their people ivermectin. You know what happened? There's no more COVID. You know the horse medicine? You know, that one?
Durham issues another subpoena. President Trump continues interviews. Biden regrets are growing. Puppet strings seem to be cut from the famous, and much to cover on the jab today. The fight against that one is always continuing, right? Do you know about shrinkflation? This is inflation by stealth, where you get less and less burger or candy bar for your dollar, but the Fed claims inflation is not a problem. Noble Gold solves this. You know that with the precious metal IRA, you can hedge growing prices and retire worry-free. You'll keep up with Fed's inflation. This month, Noble Gold's giving away free 5-ounce pure silver America the Beautiful Bullion coin. Learn more about the services offered. Go to noblegoldinvestments.com. That's noblegoldinvestments.com.
Feel like it's over. They feel like it's too late. They feel like the 2020 election was rigged and that they got away with it. Yet in your rallies, Mr. President, I hear you say that we are just getting started and that the best is yet to come. What does that mean to you? The best is yet to come.
Well, the election was rigged, David. It was rigged. You know it was rigged. And you just look at the Arizona audit and all the things that they found, and incorrectly reported by the fake news. But they found thousands and thousands, much more than you'd need, thousands and thousands of the votes that were just false and disgusting or phantom or anything you want to call it, far more than would be needed to overturn. And you have other states now, as you know, looking at it very strongly, and we'll have to see what happens. I mean, it's moving along, and Arizona is moving along. They continue to push. The Senate in Arizona was very brave, frankly. But now if you look at other states, whether it's Michigan or whether it's Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Georgia, they're all going forward, and we'll see what happens. I don't need many of them. I need two or three, depending on size. And we're going to see what happens, but it's a disgrace, and our country is going to hell. If you look at what's happening, just take a look at the current events with Afghanistan, the withdrawal, where we lost those incredible soldiers and many wounded, by the way, that nobody talks about, and $85 billion worth of the best military equipment in the world. It's a disgrace. Nobody's ever seen anything like it.
Yeah. So a pretty amazing interview. David Harris did a good job, and he actually asked questions that we were looking forward to, that many had on their mind. One of them is including the jab, and we're going to get to that one later on in this video. This one right here, I've never heard him talk about the electoral vote count like this. He only needs 2 or 3 states flipped for 270 electoral votes. Very interesting. As that plays out, then you guys know, probably heard about Durham. Durham issued a new subpoena in probe of new subpoenas, that's a plural, in probe of FBI Russia investigation, targets the Clinton campaign law firm. So the grand jury subpoenas for documents were reportedly issued earlier this month. That's right. He uncovered discrepancies between Sussman's congressional testimony and his September interview with Baker. Before Congress, Sussman testified that he was working on the Alpha Bank project for an unnamed cybersecurity expert, a contradiction of his claims to Baker that he wasn't working for any specific client. So meanwhile, Perkin Coie's internal billing records obtained by Durham show that Sussman billed hours spent on the Alpha Bank project to Clinton's 2016 campaign. That's all we need to know. There's a connection there with Clinton. And it's all squeezing together. The law firm's clients at the time included the Clinton campaign and the Democratic National Committee, DNC. Perkins Coie also hired on behalf of the campaign a research company that commissioned the dossier from former British spy Christopher Steele that claimed former President Trump was compromised by Russia. While working for the firm, Sussman also represented a cybersecurity expert. Folks, check out what is going on. Old Durham seems to be out there quite a bit lately, huh?
Today that more subpoenas are going out. It's not just Michael Sussman anymore. What can you tell us? Did something come from Sussman that gave them this?
Well, here's what I think. First of all, I think John Durham gets the big picture. I mean, if you saw that Sussman indictment, Durham knows that this was the Clinton campaign hiring the Perkins Coie law firm, folks there going and putting together information, false information, then getting that to the press and creating this whole narrative that turned out to be completely false, as we all know. So the other thing is, this was not just a false statement that Sussman made to Mr. Durham and his investigative team. This wasn't a false statement. This was the false statement. The false statement made back in 2016 that Sussman made to the FBI. And Brian, not just anybody at the FBI, the chief counsel, Jim Baker. And then Baker did what? He passed that information on to who? Strzok and Page, the people doing the investigation. So, and it wasn't the first time Baker did that. He'd also got information from David Corn regarding the dossier that he also passed on to Strzok and Page and McCabe, the people doing the investigation. Right. And now that he's looking into Perkins Coie even more, I think that is a good sign, and I'm cautiously optimistic that we're going to actually get to the bottom of this and find out who, in fact, was ultimately responsible.
So it's very interesting. Jim Baker never thought to ask Sussman, do you work for the Clinton campaign or are you just a concerned citizen? You're the FBI. Rodney Jaffe is the new guy. He appears in the indictment of Sussman, and he's a cyber expert. Remember, they had cyber technology that linked Trump to some bank that had something to do with Russia. Yeah. So they were coming with these expertise, and I'm sure at one point they're going to peel off and we get very, very close to Hillary Clinton. So stay on it. Just because it's not big names, it doesn't mean they're not important names. Jim, I look forward to
Stay on it. Just because they're not big names doesn't mean they're not important names. Good point. That happens to come from Fox. Interesting, right? A little bit of change going on over there, but still wondering if there's something strange going on in the background also, right? My trust seems to go lower and lower with these guys. But we know, and somehow the information will come out. We can sense it and see it. And, sometimes when you're a whistleblower or you explain out, you end up in places... you end up having the end of your life come near you. Check this out.
A Department of Homeland Security whistleblower is found dead. The Amador County Sheriff's Office in Northern California locating Philip Haney's body yesterday. The coroner's office says he died of a single self-inflicted gunshot wound. Authorities say the investigation is active and ongoing. Haney is known for criticizing the Obama administration, claiming DHS ordered analysts to delete or modify hundreds of records of individualists tied to Islamic terror groups.
Yep, self-inflicted, right? That's what they always say. Very, very, interesting. It's always a self-inflicted one, especially on the whistleblowers, They just couldn't handle. They were out there fighting for all of us and getting the truth out there, so they take their own life. That's what they want us to believe every single time. And that kind of reminds me of, folks getting upset with the U.S. Senate, passing a bill to avert a government shutdown by a vote of 65 to 35. 15 Republicans voted yes to extend the budget until December 3rd. So not the full thing out there, but it's starting to expose what's going on behind the scenes. People are starting to be awakened to just how nefarious and how evil these folks can be on the Democrat side. And here are the names of the Republicans' names that were dropped that jumped on board to vote yes to extend the budget. Of course, it's names that many of us look at and say, they're compromised, they're rhinos, and more. And it makes me wonder sometimes to get those calls in the middle of the night like you see in movies at 2 o'clock in the morning with that deep voice saying, if you vote against what we have done, we will expose you, or we will have a self-inflicted wound on you. And it's just how my mind works. Anyway, Jim Jordan, remember February 5th, 2020, FBI Director Christopher Wray dismissed the concerns about the FISA process, says Americans shouldn't lose any sleep over it. But today, IG the Inspector General Horowitz releases damning report about the FBI's broken FISA process. It was worse than we ever thought. Until people are held accountable for their actions, the American people have zero trust in the FBI and parts of the DOJ. Many now tell me the FBI should be abolished. Man, I agree with that 100%. With damning reports like this and many other egregious acts of fraud, negligence, and or misbehavior, you now know why. Come on, FBI agents or KGB in the field, for the good of the country and the good of law enforcement, the rule of law, and to reinstall confidence in the American people. Fix the problem now. And that's real General Flynn forwarding that bad boy out there, probably typing it up himself for us to see. Way to go. And he's a great leader and patriot, and we'll be seeing him soon in Salt Lake City, right, for you guys that are going to be going to that event, because it will be happening. WeCanAct.net. WeCanAct.net. That's where you go. Or text WeCan to 53445. October 22nd, 23rd, Salt Lake City, Utah. General Flynn's going to be a speaker. Katie Hopkins and Wendy Rogers, Senator Rogers, and Senator Borelli, and more. And folks, get on there now before these things are gone. It's very, very important. And, since we've entered October, the White House turned red 10/1/21 midnight Eastern Standard Time. Midnight timestamp on Red October drop 1 year ago today. 1 year ago today. Red October. The hunt is on. Hunters become the hunted. Why was that one dropped there? Anybody have a clue? Any comments that you guys want to make? Because many of you are supporting this. You're watching it happen. You're holding the line, and you're saying, you know what? I think something's going on. I sense it. I see it even more. You know, guys, where I think some of this is just waking me up. I just saw this a while ago. My wife showed me a guy. It's a singer, and his name is, he's a bald guy, Pitbull. And he sings some songs and some of the stuff that they listen to. And she happened to be checking out Telegram and noticed somebody posted a video of him in a concert, basically saying, if you guys want to see how bad it is, why people want to come into this country, why don't you just leave here, go to another country, third world, and see how much you really enjoy your freedoms. Saw that Joe Rogan came out, and he said that old Biden was faking his third booster shot because if something happened to him, if he passed out, it would ruin the whole thing. So it makes me wonder, right? Are these puppet strings cut? Are the folks that they belong to, back in the day, you say something against these guys, your life was probably going to be taken away. They never let you talk. These guys are starting to speak up as if they're not scared anymore. You had Nicki Minaj. She's putting out stuff on her social media, almost as if she knows, even though she said, if my life is gone, if they take me or suicide me, you guys will know it's, the truth. But it's amazing how they all seem to be coming out one at a time, somehow, some way, exposing everyone. It makes you wonder if their strings have been cut. I don't know. What do you think? So then somebody actually put out that they regret voting for Biden, right? He puts out, my first responsibility is to protect the American people and make sure we have vaccines for every American, including enough boosters. As soon as they're authorized, those eligible will be able to get a free booster right away in tens of thousands of sites across the country. This person replied, said, I regret voting for you. I will never vote for another Democrat again. Are we starting to see this, folks? You might think when you turn on the mainstream media, if some of you still watch them, or some of the times when we get down, because I get down sometimes. We're human. Sometimes we think nothing's going on, but boy, we're starting to see a lot more. They're trying to shut this stuff down, right? YouTube shut down, they said, 1 million videos on that had any type of information that they didn't agree with on the vaccine. They call it misinformation. That's a good one. There's America under Trump. There's that eagle flying. Yeah, really strong. And there's, look, America under Biden. Just a goofball. Somebody wearing a mask. One of 4 or 5 actors. And they're doing a pretty good job making them look absolutely ridiculous. You know, I kind of remember when President Trump said that he was shot back in December. You know, like shot like he didn't have a brain anymore. But a lot of us translated that to be, you know what, the real Biden. There you go. You can put two and two together, right? Charlie Kirk even shared that the Marine who rescued a baby from the chaos at Kabul International Airport is under investigation by the U.S. military after appearing with President Trump on Saturday. Mark Milley and General McKenzie, responsible for the deaths of 13 U.S. troops, are still not under investigation. So you get on a stage, you support President Trump, and they put you under investigation. Man, the Marine Corps is really, really making huge mistakes here. Lieutenant Colonel Scheller put into solitary confinement. They go after this young Marine who just stood with his president, was proud, and he was brought up there. Now he's under investigation? I don't think so. These guys are trying to make an example out of him. They're trying to scare everyone out there from even supporting Trump at all. I was at a school recently talking to a guy who works in a library at a school that's basically kindergarten through 12th grade. He's brand new there, and he's shocked to see that hardly anybody there knows that there's nothing about President Trump in the library at all. They don't want anybody knowing about it. Isn't that something? Makes you wonder what's going on in the school systems, too, as we've been talking about them. You know, there's videos I can't even show you where parents are standing before school boards showing evil, demonic books that are in the library, showing boys what they can do, showing men with boys in the pictures. And it's sickening, right? And so try to keep it PG here as much as we can. I can't show it to you. Can't even really talk about it much. It's so sickening. But a lot of you guys know what's going on. You're going to the school board meetings and you're fighting, and that is absolutely phenomenal. And you guys, a lot of you are getting your information from many channels like this one. AndWeKnow.com, folks. AndWeKnow.com. Very simple. Go there. You could drop your email in the email block. This past month, we finally updated the number of subscribers this month. And so if you haven't received anything since putting your email in, we apologize, but you're in there now. We've got a lot of new stuff coming out. You'll see there these shirts. See those really pretty colors with the Romans 828. They're really cool. And sweatshirts, guys, getting ready for the winter. And also we have these Patriot pins, right? Really, really cool. And so we got some more stuff coming. I'll show it to you in the future, but for now, check out these Patriots wearing our gear. We're also at andweknow.tv, folks. That's where you can go to Roku, Fire TV, Apple TV, and you can grab the app there. It'll go right on your phone and play. It is absolutely phenomenal. You will love it.
To me, what was so shocking was that knowing this audit was coming, knowing it was legal, somebody in the county deleted millions of computer files the day before the audit was to begin. We know there was criminal activity here. We know that there were tens of thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of fraudulent votes. That was proven. And we also know that this election should have never been certified. Yet it was by Governor Ducey and Katie Hobbs, the Secretary of State. They should have never certified this election. And we're now awaiting also some of the forensic analysis of the routers. I think we're going to find out a lot from that. And we're waiting the forensic analysis of the paper ballots. Remember, they use that high definition camera that is used on crime scenes to analyze each and every ballot. And we're going to find out, Gina, if the paper quality, what the paper quality was and if it was legitimate. But we're also going to find out if the ovals that were filled out by human hand, or if they were filled out by some other means. The bottom line is, and what I learned from this, is that they told us we had a perfect election, and it couldn't have been farther from the truth. This was a shady, shoddy, corrupt election. Our Attorney General needs to immediately open a far-ranging, wide-ranging criminal probe into this, and he needs to seize all of the election gear, all the election equipment, all of the ballots and start investigating and interviewing people immediately. And anybody who was involved in this, anybody who knowingly did something wrong or knows about who did the criminal activity should immediately contact the Attorney General's office and start fessing up and coming clean, because there will be hell to pay. I am 100% sure of it, and when I'm governor, nobody's going to get off the hook for stealing and defrauding the people of Arizona and taking our votes away.
Nobody will do it anymore if she's brought in. And that's Kari Lake, and that's Donald J. Trump, the president, pretty much endorsing her. She's running for governor in the great state of Arizona. She is a fantastic person who spent many years working as a highly respected television anchor and journalist. You guys know this. We saw her commercial where she was basically taking the sledgehammer to the mainstream media. It was awesome. Because of this, few can take on the fake news media like Kari. She is strong on crime, will protect our border, Second Amendment, military, and vets, and will fight to restore election integrity, both past and future. She's against COVID lockdowns, cancel culture, and will end woke curriculum in our schools. She will do a better job than Rhino Governor Doug Ducey. Won't even be a contest. Kari will make her wonderful family and the MAGA movement very proud. Well, she's got his full endorsement, and I think that is great. She's a tough one. The thing that I'm worried about, of course, is are they going to get rid of those machines before they have the election? Because if not, we already know they're going to twist them and turn them, because they all belong to a demonic force who will do anything to stay in power and ram anything down our throat that they want to. And so I don't know if you guys saw this. Let me zoom in on it. It was a letter that came out. I'm going to pull this out of the way. From Maricopa County Board of Supervisors, right? Via email, September 27th, 2021. Anybody see this? So it's a request, right? It's coming from the office of the Arizona Attorney General, Solicitor General's office, Mark Brnovich. We've been waiting for something like this. Seems like it's very important, hot off the press, right? Really cool. As you're aware, the Arizona Senate released the findings of the forensic audit of the 2020 general election on Friday, September 24, 2021. The Election Integrity Unit of the Arizona Attorney General's office has begun its review. Based on the information contained within the report, the unit expects the need to obtain documents, files, and related information during the course of review that is potentially relevant to the 2020 general election. In light of our review, as well as the expectation the review may lead to further investigation or litigation, this letter is to provide notice to Maricopa County that a litigation hold should be in effect regarding all potentially relevant materials related to the 2020 general election, as well as potentially relevant materials related to the 2020 primary election and 2020 presidential preference election. All Maricopa County employees, contractors, subcontractors, vendors, and assigns who were directly or indirectly involved in any aspect of managing the 2020 statewide elections should be made aware of this litigation hold, and Maricopa County should take all actions necessary to ensure compliance. Ooh, that just seems like a very tough letter. Hopefully it goes somewhere, does something, right? So under this notice, Maricopa County has a duty to preserve the following potentially relevant information as it relates to the 2020 elections. Statewide elections, hard copies of documents, tangible items, and electronically stored information, electronic communications, including emails or instant messaging used by Maricopa County, as well as county-owned or personal mobile devices. You see that, folks? All emails, all comms, it belongs to them. Electronic data stored on computer systems, election systems, removable electronic media, including floppy disks, CDs, DVDs, and flash memory media. You guys remember that? They were sticking memory cards in those bad boys. Get them all. Get the router information and Splunk logs, telephone logs, election equipment used to administer the 2020 statewide election. Get it. Any of all physical records, including but not limited to all ballots. Get them. All electronic files and footage captured by video monitoring equipment used on behalf of Maricopa County that contains still images, moving images, any audio recordings, get them. Building access records maintained by Maricopa County for all offices related to 2020 statewide election. That's a lot of stuff that they're asking for, and a lot of things that they've been waiting for, and there you go. There's your, what was that one comedian? There's your something. And he's a Southern guy, and I can't remember. There's your sign. Oh, boy, and here's another sign coming from a great patriot.
This flipping an algorithm of votes is not new. It's been going on likely at least 21 years.
Exactly. And we, the people, must stop this funding of all this campaign nonsense. I would stop every single political contribution as an American citizen to any entity, any person, the RNC, the DNC, anything, until we get paper ballots and ID for citizens only to vote. Because it is a game they've been playing, and anybody who doesn't play the game isn't going to win.
Do you think this is why Hillary reportedly was so ballistic after she lost to Donald Trump and was reportedly throwing things and whatnot and saying they stole the election, because she knew that this stuff existed, and I think there was already reports about who was going to be in her cabinet. I remember being quite shocked at how overconfident she seemed to be by the things that were being said about what her administration was going to be doing and who was going to be in it. It was like she knew she was going to win, but apparently the algorithm didn't work because so many people turned out to vote. It broke the algorithm. But do you think there's a chance Hillary was so confident because she knew about what we're talking about tonight?
Oh, yes, absolutely. And she knew what was going to happen this year with the equipment stopping. I think she even tweeted about it 2 years ago, that, they'll probably try to interfere with the election so bad they even stopped the vote count that night. One of the things these people do is tell you exactly what's going to happen. They do it in plain view.
They do.
That was one thing that stunned me when I saw the patents. They've all been doing this in plain view. That's how arrogant they are. That's how powerful they are. That's how dangerous they're willing to be.
That's how powerful they are and how dangerous they are. And they really seem to be, just kind of pushing down the clamps on everyone. I was talking to my friend today about all of the stuff going on. The research that goes into a lot of these videos that everybody makes, folks. Keep everyone in prayer because a lot of stuff I can't show you. It's very dark, sinister, and evil, things that they've been doing for many, many years. And it's difficult, right? And so as you see all of this, you see the clamps come down harder and harder on everybody. They're pushing the military out, basically forcing them to get this jab or else. And my friend just sent me a letter from a commanding general to his son, who's a sergeant in the Marine Corps, saying basically that this shot has been FDA approved and now you must take it. No, it hasn't. And you know what? VaxChoice.com, if you guys go there, you get the information you need. American Frontline Doctors, you can get the information you need to fight this. Fight this because they're being stupid, but man, they're exerting as much power as possible and almost feels like sometimes we're drowning in an ocean. They send out a life preserver, and you grab that bad boy, and then they yank it from you and force you to continue to tread water as we're waiting for this thing to play out. It's difficult. Very difficult. Well, you guys know our health is difficult too. Collagen is taking the world over by storm, and for a good reason. It's the one supplement that's becoming widely known for its foundation of youth-like benefits. A consistent collagen routine has been shown to help reduce wrinkles and rejuvenate skin. So I recommend Multi-Collagen. It's healthwithach.com. Users report a more youthful appearance, decreased wrinkles, thicker hair, healthier nails, and pain-free joints. That's healthwithach.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of your cabin crew, we'd like to inform you that we have officially entered Florida airspace. Now that we're making our final descent, please watch this short message from Governor Ron DeSantis on COVID-19. Thereafter, everyone on board will be required to comply with the state's forever purge.
We are not doing any vaccine passports in the state of Florida. We trust people to make their own decisions in this state. We are not going to be bludgeoning people with restrictions and mandates and lockdowns or any of that stuff.
As Governor DeSantis stated, while you're within state lines, you do not have to wear a mask. You do not have to get a vaccine. It is against the law for private businesses or schools to mandate masks or vaccines. And you have the absolute right to infect whoever you want, whenever, and wherever with COVID-19. Thank you for traveling with us, and please enjoy your Florever Purge.
COVID-19 is surging again.
This is the time to double down.
The governor is doubling down. He says students shouldn't be forced to wear masks.
If you are trying to lock people down, I'm going to stand in your way.
Florida just requested 300 new ventilators.
Hospitals are filling up here.
There is evidence that children are making up much higher cases that are emerging.
The numbers continue to rise across Florida.
This fall, don't breathe in.
This is insane.
The Florever Purge. Coming to a theater and live streaming networks near you.
So you guys think that was as it was playing, was it a pro Ron DeSantis video or against him? Well, as you get to the end, it says remove Ron. I think it was more of a support for him. You know, Midnight Rider Channel saved this for us from Pepe Lives Matter. Liberal ad that accidentally makes Ron DeSantis look great. These people are really, really stupid. That was a great pro Ron DeSantis ad. It shows you that everybody wants to, a lot of folks want to move to Florida. They're sick and tired of their state. And also sick and tired are the folks from NSW having to deal with this witch. And I'm going to play the top left for you just so you can see just how demonic this beast really is. And then I'm going to play something on the bottom right that kind of shocked me.
Well, a couple of things there. Firstly, we always rely on the health advice as to whether a region goes into lockdown. Secondly, all those situations kind of extinguish on the 11th of October. So then it becomes really about vaccinated people and non-vaccinated people. So from the 11th of October, the stay-at-home orders are lifted across the state. So that puts us into a new phase, a different phase of looking at the way in which we're dealing with COVID. And I want to make that clear. So there'll be much more certainty from the 11th of October because it will be more about individuals exercising freedom who are completely vaccinated. And again, I want to remind people across the state, especially in the regions, that if you're not vaccinated, you will go backwards. If your business doesn't have employees that are vaccinated, your patrons aren't vaccinated, you won't be able to operate. And so just a warning to everybody in the regions, please make sure you get yourself vaccinated if you haven't already, because you could very well go backwards from the 11th of October. We've been very clear about this point, and I just stress to everybody there is still time to get in your first shot and then your second shot. Because ultimately we don't want to see seeding anywhere, including in the regions, and that's why only the fully vaccinated will be able to participate in business activity and obviously hospitality at that time.
Wow. So you guys look out, because if you're not vaccinated, you're not going to be able to participate in society. We're going to clamp down. We own you. You will do as we say. And then, as I'm looking through and trying to find information, all of a sudden I see this bad boy pop up on the bottom right from Australia's Gladys Berejiklian. She quits. Did you hear that? She quit from an anti-corruption probe. Who in the world saw that one coming?
It pains me to announce that I have no option but to resign from the office of Premier. My resignation will take effect as soon as the New South Wales Liberal Party can elect a new parliamentary leader. In order to allow the new leader and government a fresh start, I'll also resign from the New South Wales Parliament once I've consulted the Electoral Commission on appropriate timing for a by-election, given the COVID restrictions. My resignation as Premier could not occur at a worse time, but the timing is completely outside of my control, as the ICAC has chosen to take this action during the most challenging weeks of the most challenging times in the state's history. That is the ICAC's prerogative. Resigning at this time is against every instinct in my being and something which I do not want to do. I love my job and I love serving the community, but I have been given no option following the statement that's been issued.
She loves her job. She loves serving the community. Serving what? Serving sentences of basically death to your life, to your job, to being able to go around and actually eat at restaurants, go shopping because you didn't take the jab. See ya. Don't let that door hit you in the back. You know what? I'm missing some things here in my mind. Anybody notice that? I can't seem to remember things because I want to say a joke, but it just won't come out for some reason. But anyway, we'll continue on. The ICUs are full of vaccinated people. This is an Italian medical staff speaking out to correct the speaker before the interview was cut. Let's play a little bit and then I'll read it.
Salve, io sono Cristina, sono un operatore sanitario e volevo rispondere al signore Andrea Mandelli. Allora, lei ha parlato del fatto che le...
So, for those listening in, let me go ahead and read this to you. She's talking. Beautiful, beautiful voice. Hello, I'm Christina. I'm a medical staff. And I wanted to respond to Mr. Andrea Mandelli. Andrea Mandelli. So you talked about the fact that intensive care units are all full of unvaccinated people. Then until today at 4 o'clock. After that, I was suspended, but until 4 o'clock I was on duty. And the people who were in the ICU for COVID were all vaccinated. So don't say that. Don't say that because it's not true. Absolutely yes. And everybody starts clapping in the background. Listen to this. Let's see if we play.
Assolutamente sì, assolutamente sì. Dopodiché, i numeri parlano chiaro.
Yep, she said the numbers speak for themselves. And when she said this, he was sitting up nice and tall. She started talking. She got to the end part and boom, his eyes dropped, his demeanor dropped. And I'm not that body, for telling guys, but if you're a parent or a grandparent, you can read body language pretty good. He dropped. He can't look at her. He looks down because he realizes, I'm busted. Busted. Also kind of strange was this guy right here, the fully vaxxed former CNN contributor, Mark Lamont Hill, suffers a heart attack and is hospitalized with blood clots, supposedly, right? And he blasts the NBA player critical of COVID vax, right? So he was all upset and blast Mark Lamont Hill blasted the NBA player. Yep, and he said, how could he not take the shot? Basically, he's going against him. But he got his, and he had a heart attack, and he says, it has nothing to do with the jab. I just happened to have a heart attack. And it was because of my deep vein thrombosis and blood clots in my lungs. That has nothing to do with the vax. He's only 42 years old. And it was interesting because as I was looking for this, remember the NBA player? He's basically saying, I don't need to get the shot. It's basically a freedom that I have. Well, I noticed also he was the guy, you see this, when everybody's kneeling, Black Lives Matter, and they're kneeling during the national anthem, he's the guy standing. Oh, yeah. Kind of all makes sense now, doesn't it? One thing comes together to another piece of the puzzle and another. And you know what I was thinking, just me, that this guy, Mark Lamont Hill, could easily go sit in a hospital bed, put this little mask on, look at you, and they could take pictures, and he could say, I'm here. Yes, I had a heart attack, but it has nothing to do with the vaccine. And I tell you what, that guy over there, all you guys that are anti-vaxxers, you just need to be quiet, you right-wingers, blah, blah, blah. And I wonder sometimes, do they fake it just so they can go and attack the right-wingers and say, you guys are wrong? Or did it really happen to them? It's hard to tell nowadays, but you know what? If you stand up for the truth and you go make your own hydroxychloroquine, which I put in the description box below, I keep that video link there all the time for everyone to see. That if you go in below the video, you'll notice all these links that I have. Well, one of them is how to make HCQ. Well, they'll put them up on the little poll like they did in the past and say, how did you heal without a vaccine, you witch? And it's just me, folks. Sometimes I say, that'll be us someday because they can't stand it. But, having the hope that we have in Christ, it doesn't matter what they do to us because this is not our home. We are more than conquerors. And Jesus said that we would have more power than him on this earth. Isn't that amazing? He is the Son of God. And he's letting us know do not live in fear, right? He says, do not fear. Come to me, all you who labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Right? He's God. And when we worship him, it says, ask and you will receive, seek and you'll find, knock and the door will be open to you. I was doing my devotion this morning, and even noticed in my devotion, because I do a 1-year plan, that there's a story in there where a guy was basically woken up, and this guy said, hey, look, I think he's asking for some bread. And the guy says, we don't have any, just leave us alone. Well, the guy was persistent. He just kept knocking and asking, please, we'd like to have some bread. So the guy got up because he was persistent and got him some food. I believe that's how the story went. I could be a little off, but bottom line is, Jesus was telling the story. It was basically to remind us, you keep persistent, you keep coming, you keep knocking, keep asking, and eventually, you know what? Yeah, God's going to listen to you. He's going to provide, guys. He's going to provide. But Satan will always try to convince you that he'll provide. It's interesting because they like to use numerology because that's how they do things. Satan gets his worship and his socks off by using numerology. Do you guys know when old Biden got his COVID-19 fake booster shot? It was 666 days after the first COVID-19 case in Wuhan, China. That's right. December 1st, 2019 was the first COVID-19 case in Wuhan. Exactly 666 days went by. And there's your sign. All right? Oh, they just show you what they're up to, and they program us in our mind for many years on how they're going to play this out. Even in the 1995 speech, they told us.
What will follow is the contamination of the bloodstreams of mankind, creating intentional infections. This will be enforced via laws that will make vaccinations mandatory, and these vaccines will make it possible to control people. The vaccines will have liquid crystals that will become hosted in the brain cells, which will become micro receivers of electromagnetic fields, where waves of very, very low frequencies will be sent. And through these low-frequency waves, people will be unable to think. You'll be turned into a zombie.
Zombie apocalypse. They're basically staying in 1995. They're going to be sticking some kind of stuff in your body where they turn on some frequency, and that's where folks keep saying that 5G will be what's used. And they'll be able to convince you through your brain using that frequency to basically turn you into a zombie. Make you think the way they want you to think. Man, it seems far-fetched, right? But that's what they're talking about. And my Marine friend, by the way, just thinking of this, said that his son at the Marine base, as he's basically not going to take the jab and probably get out of the Marine Corps because of this, was sharing all of the videos that we share, all of the clips that we can share. And that Marine basically was showing some clips here and there, but said that folks had no clue. They're not watching videos like this. They watch the mainstream media. They had no idea what's going on with these jabs. They're just going down there, hey, whatever they say, whatever the Marine Corps tells them, they line up and say, yes, sir, and they get it put into their arm and don't think twice about it. As he was sharing that stuff, people are in shock. People are in shock with what they're seeing. And some of it, he said, I can't even show, because it's too right-wing for them. They can't handle it. Well, Sweden status is free. Norway, free. Denmark, free. Scandinavia has become a beacon of freedom to the world. There it is. Peter Sweden 7 put this out. And other parts of the world, French are relentless. This is the 11th Saturday in a row. That's pretty cool, right? And so here's that part that I promised you. from that interview from David Harris, where he asks point blank questions of President Trump, letting him know that there seems to be adverse reactions to this stuff.
I'm going to switch gears a little bit. Project Veritas. I know you have been very privy to some of what James O'Keefe and Project Veritas have done.
Yeah.
They've released 3 very disturbing videos just over the last week, one exposing HHS, one exposing the FDA, and just last night exposing Johnson & Johnson, where 2 Johnson & Johnson employees literally said kids should not get this vaccine. Have you seen these videos? And if so, what are your thoughts?
Well, the problem is, because I think James is fantastic, but the problem is that the fake news media doesn't like putting him on. They don't like, they cancel everything. Like they canceled, to a large extent, the great results from the audit in Arizona.
Yeah.
And so I know James came up with, I heard about it very strongly, but you don't see it very much in the media because they won't put it out. James is incredible, the job he does.
Yes.
But the media doesn't want to put that stuff out because it makes Biden look bad, and they want to protect him at all costs. It's really pretty amazing, actually.
So Joe is for mandatory vaccines, literally saying that companies with over 100 employees should mandate the vaccines for all their employees. I know I've heard you say it before, but I want you to set the record straight. Would you ever be for mandatory vaccines for our country?
It's not necessary for a different reason. When I was president, there was nobody backing up on vaccines. Everybody wanted the vaccine. Now nobody wants the vaccine, and I'm very proud of the vaccine. I did the vaccines in less than 9 months. It was supposed to take 5 years. So I'm very proud of the vaccines. I took it. You might have taken it. A lot of people I know took it. But, you can't take away people's freedoms. I will say this. When I was president, there was no backup on the vaccine. Well, everybody was trying to get it. And we gave out millions and millions of doses. I mean, literally. And it was run much better than it is now. And now all of a sudden you have people backing up, and that's because they don't trust Biden.
Well, and I'll say this. While I appreciate your Operation Warp Speed and putting everything in motion, the companies that actually created the vaccines, I think, is what people have an issue with. I have not taken the vaccine. I believe it's my body, my choice. I believe that my God-given immune system is going to be better than anything else. But the adverse reactions that we're hearing about, the adverse reactions that the nurse that works for HHS shared that are taking place in people, the mainstream media is stifling it. They don't want people to hear about it. I'm wondering if you're concerned about those adverse reactions that are starting to be reported a lot more widely now.
Well, I'm more concerned with the mainstream media because I think they're so corrupt, if you want to know the truth. I think the vaccines have saved millions of lives, maybe tens of millions of lives worldwide. I really think this would have been another 1917 where they lost almost 100 million people. I think this would have been horrible. But I'm very concerned about another part of the question, and that's where you talk about the mainstream media, because they do cover up. They cover up a lot of things, and that is getting to be very dangerous. And it's never happened like it has now.
It's never happened as it has now. And so, yeah, interesting, right? Because folks get really upset with this answer of, that the basically not knocking the vaccine, but saying that it saved millions and millions of lives. And I was just thinking, because I'm going to show you another clip here later on, as it go through my mind, because even Lynn Wood says, hey, even though he says stuff like this, I still support him because he's done such great things for our country. So it's hard for many to grasp, why would he keep saying that if he doesn't know all this information? I was just pondering through my mind this whole thing. And I noticed that they had stats out. There were 65% of the people agreed that there should be some form of a shot. And these are conservative folks. Some of them church-going, a lot of them. And we that are awake, all of us that do our research know better. We know that there could be some dangers with these jabs going into our body. And imagine if he came out and said, I agree with you, there's something seems to be wrong with this, and he started talking, then what happens with those 64% of those people? I don't know. Just my mind. Please don't get upset with me. I'm just telling you, I'm trying to walk my mind through all this because it doesn't seem like President Trump's ever been wrong about much, but I tell you what, this one is one where he wouldn't even bring it up in his speech last week in Georgia. And probably because he probably would have received a lot of boos. So while I don't agree whatsoever, I wish that somehow there were some talking points to say, yeah, I've seen all of the data that's been pouring in, and I must say I'm really concerned about it. It's just not the answer that everybody wants to hear, especially when you see stuff like this with Isabelle Borges Valentim.
Here is another article from thecovidblog.com. 16-year-old Brazilian girl, Isabelle Borges Valentim, develops blood clots and dies 8 days after her first dose of the Pfizer COVID-19 vaccine. She got her first dose on August 25th. She suffered adverse effects very quickly. She suffered from dizziness, severe headache, shortness of breath, and extreme fatigue the next day. Her condition progressively worsened over the next several days, and she started feeling tingling sensations throughout her entire body. Her mother took her to the hospital on August 29th. The doctor said her condition was psychological and just in her head, but right before she was discharged, she collapsed and lost consciousness. Her blood oxygen levels were found to be very low at 30%. They note that anything less than 88% is a cause for concern, and they could not do anything to save her, and she died on September 2nd. The health authorities in Brazil said that she died from numerous blood clots throughout her body, which is exactly what the vaccine is causing. But they said the Pfizer injection was not the probable cause of death.
16 years old. Gone. And I've got teenagers now. I've got a couple that are out of the home now in their 20s. And it would just wreck me if something happened to them. It would literally eat me up. And I'm telling you, folks, I've got friends, many friends that decided to cave to the pressure and put the stuff in their body. From a lot of them said, because I need a job. Found out one of them, who ended up becoming a chaplain after being in the Air Force, said, well, I prayed and the Lord spoke to me and basically through Scripture said I'll be protected, because it's just like the Scripture says that the snake's poison won't be able to touch you, so I'm just going to continue to move forward. So each person's got their different point of views on it. It's difficult to wade through this issue and go through it. I have a hard time with it. And sometimes I wonder if we've been already had comms telling us that there would be cures for this after all of this is done. Will it be done soon, sooner than later? Are we looking at something terrible? Because, the mandates are devastating to national security. Check this out from Sergeant Robert Horton. Thank you for putting this clip together from Fox.
A former Navy SEAL sounding the alarm on hundreds of Navy SEALs quitting over these vaccine mandates. And it's not just happening in the military. Law enforcement members are also fighting back, including a veteran police officer out in California who hung up his badge over the vaccine requirement for all city employees. David Gutierrez served nearly 30 years in the San Jose Police Department, and he joins us now with more on his decision. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
And, I just want to thank God for giving me the strength to step out of my comfort zone, and thank you for the opportunity to speak.
Oh, well, thank you so much for coming on. It's an important topic, and thank you for your service out there. Tell us why you decided to hang up your badge.
Well, when we received an email saying that you're going to have a vaccine by a certain date or face discipline up to including termination, and I took it as a threat, and because I don't plan to be vaccinated, and I decided to turn in my badge so I can speak up because others can't for fear of losing their job.
Sergeant, how hard of a decision was that?
Very difficult, especially after, serving for that many years and putting on the uniform so many times. The last time I put on, it's emotional.
You're being forced to leave your job because you don't want to get this vaccine. Are you alone in this, in your department?
I'm definitely not alone. There's several hundred people throughout the city that back this, and it's unfortunate because they were doing weekly testing for a very short period of time before they moved on to this mandate. And while most people don't want to do weekly testing, they would much rather do that and keep their job than be forced to get a vaccination. And the mayor had said that this was done to protect the employees and the population, but the thing is, they're not testing the vaccinated employees. And we all know that vaccinated people can get the virus and spread it without knowing even. So that doesn't seem right. And he also had said that the percentage went up from 82 to 85%, and he had said that the strategy is working. And if the strategy is to force people to decide whether to have a livelihood or get the vaccine, that's not something to be proud of.
I know that your department's already understaffed, so if so many people quit, that's going to be detrimental to the community when they call 911 and there aren't enough officers to come to their rescue and their aid. I know you're not an anti-vaxxer. You just don't want to get it. You don't want to be forced to put something in your body for religious reasons. What are you going to do next? How will you make money?
I haven't even thought about that. I am retired. I have my retirement. I was after I retired, I became the reserve because I was making extra money, and I don't know if we could always say extra because, we all get enough just to pay the bills. But right. I mean, I'll find some way, and it's really, money's not important to me right now. It's this cause and my other people in the group, and it's not just police officers. It's our dispatchers. It's people in every other city function. And like you said, they're very understaffed. You can't find qualified people. And also, you can't lose these people who have been here for so many years. You're not losing just a person. You're losing all of that experience as well.
You're losing a lot of experience. You could tell he's a little bit nervous in the beginning there. I would be, being on national news, probably live, right? Sometimes they pre-record these and they play them later. I've been in these studios. They send them off to a local studio somewhere that has this satellite type of comm, and they get them crystal clear so that they can play it. And they'll record sometimes and then play it later because they have several interviews they'll do in one day. But he held himself well, and he mentioned right in the beginning that about his faith in God, and he mentions it at the end also. You can see the full clip in the description box below. And so when you see these things, Queen of 17 said, Karen Krook-Heister was 67-year-old former Notre Dame professor, says, damn the unvaccinated, dead 12 days after the third Pfizer mRNA injection. So making fun of and putting down those that don't want to get the jab, she takes all three, gone. Not here to discuss it anymore, is she? And then the L.A. City Council President, Nury Martinez, goes on rant before voting on vaccine mandates for Los Angeles City, calling those who refuse vaccines selfish, and says being anti-vax is un-American, and calls any concerns about mandates QAnon, Trumpian theories. How could it be a Trumpian theory? We just heard President Trump say that he supports these jabs and that it saves millions of people. How could it be a Trumpian theory? It's amazing, right? If we, it's great that we can support President Trump, and it's also good that we can call him out and say, I don't agree with you. And that's what makes our nation great. And he says, all right, if you don't agree with me, fine. But he doesn't come after you like a dictator. He doesn't come after you like old Biden, where, you go from, I don't know if we should, we really need to test these things before you give it, to I'm going to do everything I can to heal our nation and bring it together, to you better get this or else. And it has an effect on our military too. And then other folks, Slovenia rising up. 100,000 protesters took over the streets of Slovenia. That was pretty loud. Hopefully didn't. I'll remember to turn that down. People gathered to protest their government after a 20-year-old girl died from the J&J vaccine in Slovenia. They are not happy. And the Richard Citizen journalist took us in an emergency room in Spartanburg, South Carolina Regional Hospital. Okay, MSM is reporting it is overran with COVID. They're saying, man, it's crazy. These hospitals are overrun. Richard Citizen journalist takes his camera, goes around to all these little, makeshift tents or whatever, and shows you the inside. Nobody's hardly in there. And basically, he walked into that emergency room or the hospital the other day. I watched another video that he put together, and the place was pretty much empty. They had a guard basically not letting him in. looks pretty empty to me, but they're reporting, oh man, it's overrun with COVID. They're a bunch of liars. These mainstream media paid off. These hospitals paid off. Billions, millions and millions of dollars floating around to keep their mouths shut. So as we get closer to the end, I didn't know, I was debated whether I would show this or not, but I'm going to go ahead and do it. So prepare yourself. I'm going to show you a baby that was breastfed after the mother was vaccinated. And so it's just a bunch of big blisters and stuff, so it's not totally bad. I just want to warn you in case those folks don't want to show this type of stuff. But anyway, there's a baby right there, and the mother was vaccinated with Pfizer. 1-month-old baby. Would be possible for her to undergo an evaluation by teams linked to this to find out if the vaccine may have caused any harm to the baby. So check this out. You can see just the blisters. If you can see that good at all, I'm not sure. Let me zoom in a little bit. Right about there, I'll push play. But you can see it's pretty bad. Tell you, our kids, a lot of them had eczema growing up. They had issues with their skin and never really looked that bad at all, especially 1 month old. It makes you just wonder what's going on there. And I think I can show you this also. Yeah, it's just text. Somebody posted they were relieved to get vaccinated for COVID while pregnant this year, and to have some reassurance that I'm sharing my immune protections with my newborn now through breastfeeding. Happy to chat with expectant moms about questions if you're feeling hesitant. Well, then she posts, yesterday my littlest one passed away unexpectedly and suddenly at 2.5 months. We don't have answers on how or why, but if you have littles at home, give them an extra squeeze today. We're going to miss baby Z's smiles, giggles, and the joy to be brought. So how come not just admit it, that something might have happened because of the jab? Nope, they don't want to. Don't want to admit it at all. These little ones need our protection more than anything. They need to be taught how to fight with their God-given rights of freedom. The school board meeting in Greenville, South Carolina, the student was amazing and brave. And this is, I believe, Richard Citizen journalist recorded this one also. Really, really cool. She does a great job. She reads the whole thing. So I'm going to take you right about to the end here where she talks.
Virtual school if they're so afraid of COVID. I am not afraid. Why are you punishing me? Just a kid that just wants to learn. A kid that wanted a perfect attendance. I think that contact tracing is really ruining this school year for my classmates, my teachers, and for me. If this is something you support, I ask you to reconsider. Thank you for your time.
So she gives a really good speech. It's pretty long, so if you can go in the description box, you can watch the whole thing. But I wanted you to hear the end, that she's just letting them know, I'm not scared. I'm not scared. I'm tired of the tests that you're doing here, and you're forcing us to stay at home. She wanted a perfect attendance at school and did not get it. It reminded me, as my friend was talking to me today, Nathan, really good friend for many years. We met at Calvary Chapel in Okinawa, Japan, years ago, and he's out in another part of America now, doing great things, and just love my brother and love his family. And he reminded me, hey, it just reminds me of like David. Where people see the enemy and they look and go, oh, the enemy is just so overbearing and so powerful. Because I was telling him, sometimes I feel like the enemy's just got so much control over us, and just so, it's like you can't even move. You're just smothered at all ends, and there's no way. It just seems like there's no way there's going to be a victory, even though we've been told this for so long. I'm human. And there's times when I go, I look at this stuff too, and I go, I'm excited. I feel like something big's going to happen. There's some other channels that all they talk about every video is, Trump's doing great. He's got the deep state covered again, and boy, it's going to be great, blah, blah, blah. Well, it's so great. Why do we have 13 people dead from Afghanistan? Casualty of war. If it's so great, why are people getting kicked out of the military for not taking a stupid experimental injection that they said was FDA approved, and they're lying? So, I get a little perturbed sometimes, right? You guys? Anybody? Can I get an amen there? So there's the enemy standing up, David and against Goliath, right? And he's like, what's going on? What are you guys so scared of? He walks up. Everybody was scared of this one giant. He's like, he's just a shepherd boy. And he goes, why are you guys so scared? We've got God on our side. We've already won. Doesn't matter what we see or what we do. Guys, this isn't our home. We're those that accepted Christ as their Lord and Savior, that know that Jesus died on the cross, rose again after 3 days, confess with their mouth that He is Lord. And, guess what? This isn't our home anymore. We're just passing through. David knew that. He had the tools in his arsenal. You remember he was able to take out a bear with a rock because he was trained. Guys, we're trained. If not, get in the Word of God, train yourself, and He'll give you the Holy Spirit, enough just amazing power to fight this enemy. I'm going to play this clip as we go to the end.
When the Philistine looked about and saw David, he disdained him, for he was but a youth, and ruddy, and of a fair countenance. And the Philistine said unto David, Am I a dog, that thou comest to me with staves? And the Philistine cursed David by his God. And the Philistine said to David, Come to me, and I will give thy flesh unto the fowls of the air, and to the beasts of the field. Then said David to the Philistine, Thou comest to me with a sword, and with a spear, and with a shield. But I come to thee in the name of the Lord of hosts, the God of the armies of Israel, whom thou hast defied. This day will the Lord deliver thee into mine hand, and I will smite thee, and take thine head from thee. And I will give the carcasses of the host of the Philistines this day unto the fowls of the air and to the wild beasts of the earth, that all the earth may know that there is a God in Israel. And all this assembly shall know that the Lord saveth not with sword and spear, for the battle is the Lord's, and He will give you into our hands. And it came to pass, when the Philistine arose and came and drew nigh to meet David, that David hasted and ran toward the army to meet the Philistine. And David put his hand in his bag, and took thence a stone, and slang it, and smote the Philistine in his forehead, that the stone sunk into his forehead, and he fell upon his face to the earth. So David prevailed over the Philistine with a sling and with a stone, and smote the Philistine and slew him. But there was no sword in the hand of David.
For nothing is secret that shall not be made manifest, neither anything hid that shall not be known and come abroad.
Let's pray. Father in heaven, we come to you now just thanking you for, once again, the reminder that these giants that are in our life, that seem to come against us, that seem powerful, that with the abilities that you've given all of us, even just having the name of Jesus, to be able to pull that name, sling it, has so much power to take these giants out in our life. Just the name of Jesus. Thinking of that now as I'm talking to you, Lord, thank you for that word, for the understanding of just how powerful you are. You're the creator of this earth. You're our creator. You've given us rights. You've given us the ability to show who you are by doing a work in us and through us each and every day. We praise you and we honor you and we thank you. And we just thank you also for opening our eyes to the truth, not only exposing the enemy each and every second of every day, but you've given us the ability to have peace when we come to you, knowing that we can talk to you at any time. Thank you for letting us know that we can constantly come to you, keep knocking and keep just bugging you. And you're there for us, and I just want to thank you for that. Thank you for your comfort, your rest and peace through what seems to be such difficult times for many of us. I lift up those that are hurting, that might lose their job because of this mandate. I ask that you would please bring relief to them, relief to us. Would you please knock down the enemy quickly? May we stand up and just say, it's biblical. God has destroyed them. Many people are going to know that God exists. We just ask for continued protection for all of our lives as we stand up for the truth. It's such a very, very gigantic enemy. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. Thank you guys so much for all of your support. Thank you for going to our store, righttoprint.com, and grabbing the gear there. It's so encouraging. Thank you also for the great comments and for the donations. Absolutely incredible. For now, this is LT with Damn We Know, signing out.